first of all, tell me a little bit about Yusen Logistics.
Sure. So we're a global logistics company, do a lot of business-to-business shipping all around the world. Have a sizable presence in Europe. I think we're across 12, 13 countries in Europe.
You mentioned there about working across Europe. So obviously that takes it into a much wider field. What are the sort of things that the large-scale logistical operations going across Europe that you have to be aware of in terms of cyber attacks and what people are open and vulnerable to?
The logistics industry is a high-value target typically to cyber criminals. If you look at the large corporate organizations, an easy way to disrupt their ways of working is to attack the supply chain. And typically within the logistics industry, you've got a very competitive environment, certainly low margin, and maybe not the size of IT and cybersecurity budgets that you may have in other industries. So collectively as organizations, there maybe it isn't possible to have the same level of investment all the way up through the organizations. So certainly you see some criminal groups may see that as an easier route to cause disruption or attack a certain organization or whatever it is they're trying to do. It may look like a softer touch, if you like. That may not typically be true, but you can see the impression that it might build.
And so how do you go about ensuring you've got sort of robust systems in place?
We do a lot of industry analysis, if you like, to look at the current cyber trends, what's happening in the world, which of those we think are most closely related to logistics and what controls we can put in place. We then work very closely with a number of security partnerships that we have, organizations that support us on that journey, and just follow their guidance and the best practice in order to put ourselves in the best possible position to deflect those threats that we may face.
What about things like, say, AI? What sort of part does that play in terms of maybe ensuring, as I said earlier, more sort of robust, secure systems?
In my personal opinion, you can't join an IT conversation without a good percentage being around AI. It's the hot topic, and there are standout examples where AI has been used in terms of cyber attacks and ways to exploit organizations, but they're few and far between and are generally quite detailed in their preparation, if you like, whereas the wider day-to-day threat isn't influenced by AI in quite the same way. I think that day will come, but it's maybe not here just yet. I see the threat to organizations from AI being slightly different in the short term, in that the level of understanding across the entire workforce maybe isn't there yet to understand the risk that AI poses. For example, people using AI locally in smaller business units and potentially putting sensitive company data into public AI models, which is then shared more widely, or the other element that's been talked around a lot is blindly trusting the response you get. So I've asked the computer a question, it's told me the answer, and it must be true. But the need for validation of the information that comes back and proving that the answer is accurate, rather than just accepting that whatever the computer says you must take. I think a good example that was put to me a little while ago was the sat nav said turn left into the lake, so I did it. And the same kind of concept. I've asked a critical business question, it's given me an answer, therefore I must blindly trust it and move on. Is maybe misleading.
So human communication is key to so much of in terms of logistics, and at the end of the day, there are sometimes we can almost get to a point where we can ignore that it's actually people that make some of these systems work.
Fundamental to the operation of any organisation, really. The people make the difference. They control the processes and the warehouses and the ways of working, and are critically important in terms of cybersecurity. So any organisation is only as strong as the awareness of the people in that organisation. So if they're not aware of the threats that the world poses, or the phishing emails, or the not sharing usernames and passwords, etc., then you can't secure the organisation from that type of attack. So
And how do you approach sort of securing sort of third-party integrations? Really, are you considering sort of there's such a complex network of suppliers and partners in logistics? How do you approach securing those third-party integrations?
It's a real challenge for any organisation to ensure that full supply chain has that assurance in place. We do a lot of work in terms of posing security questionnaires and other assurance practices onto the third parties that we operate with. We ensure that they will meet our standards and our customers' standards, as ultimately we're accountable for any third party that we bring in. So it really is a key area, and I think the security companies are coming on board with that now. There's good ability to be able to externally scan third party organisations to see what level of threat they may pose, to issue those security questionnaires, to get feedback and response on how they operate and the good practice that they follow. There's a huge increase in legislation across Europe around cybersecurity and AI and ways of working, and the ability to pull those pieces together and understand what risk your supply chain may pose. I think this is a very important element.
And what about today, just purely being on that panel with very much like-minded people understanding and helping people to address those sort of threats? How important was it for you to be here today?
I was really pleased to be here today. It was very nice of Mike Clive to ask us to come and join in. We've formed something of a security alliance with them. We're sharing information and working together and trying to work collectively as an industry to raise our kind of ability to deal with the threat. It's a very competitive environment, but within that, in terms of cybersecurity, for me, we're not competing against each other. We're competing against the cyber criminals that are attacking us. So by working together, sharing information and raising our collective ability, then we can better respond to that threat and hopefully prevent other people going through a similar experience, because it's a genuinely unpleasant experience. I wouldn't wish on anyone.
And what key lessons do you think that you've learned, your company has learned from from past cyber security incidents?
Being prepared. I think first of all, taking the threat seriously. I think it's often overlooked or pushed to one side. It's someone else's problem, but someone else will pick that up. The board will deal with it, whatever it may be. But ultimately, cybersecurity affects everybody and every individual. Everyone in the organisation forms that first line of defence by being aware of the threats that may be posed and by acting accordingly and taking the right precautions and not putting USB drives in and clicking on emails, etc., and taking those steps. So it is everyone should be aware, and raising that awareness, I think, is one of the most critical things we can do. So within Yusen, we kicked off in 2024 for the first time. We now run an annual cybersecurity awareness week where we run a series of activities. We run training. We bring in security vendors to do presentations. We create posters and material to put up in every office in the organisation, just to raise that awareness across every employee and just make sure that they act as that first line of defence against us and are cognizant of what's going on in the world, and being able to share that or bring that to a conference like this and be part of that kind of awareness building piece in the industry in general, I think is vitally important.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, and thank you for sharing that with us today, Dan.
Thank you very much.